reasons why. We'll go over that as we're marching. But again, I just want to thank everybody for coming out.
So this was one of the options.
And marching with Pro Gainesville, everything that's been accomplished. So far, a few things that we're still working on is with Letitia, the proposal for the VP Douglas renovation. Hopefully we can get that kick-started. Again, if anybody wants to be on the committee for that, please reach out to Tori, myself, or Letitia Hendricks, and we can get that. So there's a couple of things that's happened this past week, as far as just what's been going on with Pro Gainesville. So a lot of us, Tori, myself, and Amira went down to Wolf City to stand in solidarity with Wolf City, who just lost Jonathan Price at the hands of police brutality.
No, just wants to
and
play.
While we were there, we stood with them, we marched with them, and we noticed there was luckily they did arrest after that march. They arrested the officer who murdered Jonathan Price, and so hopefully we will see justice for Jonathan Price in Wolf City. As soon as we were leaving Wolf City, there was, and a lot of people may have seen this because it picked up national news, there was a gentleman that showed up with a long rifle, and that was shortly right after Tori and I left that, and Amira left that area. But there's a gentleman, anybody who saw that video, that gentleman that was also there involved with that has been at our protest several times as well, causing trouble, standing over there with a gun. And things of that nature. So this goes to show again that these people that are coming, they're coming in from out of town to show a force. We've seen that since July 1st, and they're going and they're harassing these small towns.
To show a force from both sides that are coming out of town.
Wolf City was just, when we went to Wolf City, as soon as we got there, the community there really welcomed everybody. They were nervous about outsiders coming in. But the thing is they knew that we were all there to stand in solidarity with them. And so Wolf City was a good example of how I wish our community would exist, in the fact that they accepted people who came into their community to stand in solidarity with them, whereas our community has fought against us. So I think it's time for Gainesville to take a look at that scenario and accept that we all have one goal. Many of us are going down different paths to that goal to get there, whether let's take a seat at the table or protest. But time and time again, everybody keeps asking why, when you have your protest, why you bring up other things other than the statue. And number one, an injustice anywhere is an injustice everywhere. And so that's number one why we're out here. And number two, things have evolved. We constantly have something where there's the county commissioners oppressing us by blocking the lawn, and then unblocking the lawn, going back and forth because they know it's illegal.
As it's suppressing you, it's not stopping you from talking.
Backlighting us in conversations behind closed doors and then doing something totally opposite. And we waited for quite a while before we called things out. When they very first were happening, we would wait. We would, under good faith, because we were meeting with the police officers, we were meeting with the city, so we gave them in good faith. So we waited to call things out. And then once we started calling things out, they get revengeful with politically and revengeful motivated charges against Amira, myself, and Tori. And they do things like blocking the lawn and things of that nature, and simply to suppress dissent in our community. As you notice, I do want to point something out before I hand the microphone to whoever else wants to speak. But I'd just like to give everybody in the public an update on what's been going on. So kind of what happened this week. Last week, most of us were gone, but the community still decided that they wanted to protest. And so that just goes to show that this is community ran. This isn't just Pro Gainesville rallying people. The community came together. We said that we wouldn't be there. The community said that doesn't matter, we will. And so it's not just a group of people. This is the entire community asking for this statue to be removed, asking for racial justice in our county as well.
Very pretty dog.
Before we were speaking with the sheriff's department.
Doing all right, and you, sir?
Doing good.
Gainesville Police Department. But now they've gone into where there's really not much to talk about. When they arrest you on politically motivated, revengeful tactics, and they start following you home, sitting outside your home.
Then show us the proof that they're doing it. You'll get more people to help you.
So conversations have been limited, but we've always made the stance that the sheriff's office, they have my phone number, Texas State Troopers have my phone number, and Gainesville Police Department has my phone number, and they always know if something goes on in a protest that they can approach one of us and we will take care of the issue. But what the county sheriffs recently have decided was that they're not going to talk to us about anything. So something that they did last week during the community ran, they approved for us to have a table here to register voters. And I get an email later that night, a couple of days later, from the county judge. Now there were sheriff's officers in the courthouse, but it appears that now they're too scared to come have a conversation with us.
They ain't too scared.
So for some
Because
reason,
y'all
the
just
county
rant and
judge,
rave on them when they're out
the
here.
next day, and he waits until after we're in Wolf City, and I just went live on our Facebook page showing that we were in Wolf City standing in solidarity with them. As soon as the live ended, I checked my emails, and 5 minutes after that live ended, I get an email from the county judge that basically said that the table wasn't on the concrete. So since the table wasn't on the concrete, we were going to lose all of our privileges if it ever happens again. And we think this is just petty stuff that the county just keeps bringing up.
Well, that's simple. Then put it on the concrete. It's that simple.
The sheriffs could have came out and just told us, and we would have gladly cooperated. But instead, the county sheriffs went to hide inside the courthouse, not say anything, and then come back later and try to get us in trouble with the court commissioners or find a reason to get us in trouble. I'm sure when they went and reported this to the county commissioners, I'm sure it looked like, hey, they did this, what can we do? And that's just wrong. So I'm going to turn the speaker around so I can give a message to the county sheriffs, because I do think it's important that they understand that they can ask for something, and they're not willing to come out and say something. So the Cook County sheriffs inside the courthouse, if you have an issue at any time with our protest, you're more than welcome to come talk to me. So now I've said this in front of everyone, so if there is an issue going forward, now everybody knows that they can always contact us anytime, and we will gladly do whatever they ask us to do. But until then, obviously they just want to hide inside the courthouse, not even acknowledging that. But if they want to sit on the clock and collect their time and just sit in there, that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and give the microphone over to Tori. We are going to march today, so we'll go into safety about that before we head out. But I'm going to give the mic over to Tori, and she's going to talk a little bit about what's been going on.
Hey guys. So I first want to say thank you for coming out. I actually got to have a meeting with our mayor on Friday. It didn't go very well, but I thought that it was important to kind of focus on some of the progress that we have had. One of the comments that was made was that our black community doesn't support us because James Hughes doesn't support us, but I'm happy to see you today. But I think also there's so many here that have a reason why they don't want to stay here. But usually that reason has to do with disagreement for someone who's speaking or disagreement for someone else who's out here. And I think whenever you see an issue in your community that you feel like it's something that needs to be addressed, at the end of the day, that is all that matters. It's changing that situation, changing the systemic racism that we are dealing with. So I wanted people that don't come out to hear that, or to hear that we are peaceful. And not only that, but the reasons for not wanting to stand with your community, I think, are really getting slim. I think that it's not at all, we don't have counter protesters anymore. And that's something to be happy about. That's progress. When you don't have people standing across from you with guns, you have no reason to be able to not stand here and talk about the things in our community that exist that need to be changed. I wanted to touch on today is going to be a little bit different, because I've heard often that the message doesn't always just align with the monument. But if you understand the systemic racism that is attached to that monument and the stronghold that it's still holding over this community, then you can understand the conversation that we're about to have about racism that is still alive in the system today, or locally. So I wanted to touch on that before we get to the courthouse or to the fire station and we go into that conversation. It's important to understand that white supremacy and the stronghold and systemic racism is still very much alive, and it's still a big part of the reason that we're having to come up here and discuss it. Another comment that Jim Goldberg made to me was that no one's coming out here anymore. Nothing's changing. No progress is happening. Well, Forms went out this week to change the name of that Robert E. Lee School, right? That's progress. Make sure you get those things in by the 16th. And I don't want to advocate for a name right now. I think think I would just be happy with Gainesville Elementary or some form of making it really simple. Something that can include all of us. A lot of the argument seems to continue to be that kids don't, they don't understand who Robert Lee was, or Robert Lee was really a good guy. The continual argument that we always hear. But at the end of the day, when you're a black child who goes through the school system, and you look up and you see those things that existed and it was okay with everybody else, and that reflects on self-love, and that reflects on what you realize about everyone else around you, that is a big deal. And at the end of the day, I do this for all of us and for the community, but I think it's so important that children feel included in their community. Having a sense of community helps with having a sense of patriotism. If you can't even feel like you belong in your community, how do you feel like you belong in your country? How do you stand next to people and feel like this is where you're supposed to be? That is important for our kids to feel, not just some kids. Every kid that's here should feel like Gainesville welcomes them and Gainesville sees beauty in their culture and their difference. And I feel really strongly about that. I work with many different people in the community, and I think that a sense of community is what's important, and that's why I'm here. But really, I'm ready for this march to have this conversation. And I'd like to shed light to racism that everyone says doesn't exist in Cook County or in Gainesville. I'd like to shed light on it and show that it is real, and it is something that needs to be taken away in order for us to live in a non-biased place where we can all be included and gathered together. So let's march. Amara, did you want to say anything? Does anybody else in the community want to speak? Okay. It's okay. We'll talk.
So just a couple of things. We are doing different march route. Like she mentioned, we're going to go to the fire station. We'll explain why in just a moment. So we are going to be over here at the statue, but we are going to cross the street onto California Street, staying on the sidewalks the entire time, and we will go down. And we're going to continue to stay on the sidewalks because the city continues on their basis that they will not approve permits for it. So we're going to cross the street this way rather than that way as normal.
There are people that are wanting to hear the way usually sit here. They're going to drive over to the fire station.
So if anybody wants to drive over there, I know I'm driving over there, so if anybody wants to drive, you can. It's going to be the fire station on 4th Street.
Very pretty dog. See, still they're showing that there's nobody here. Huh?
We're the only ones here. Except for him sitting in his
Oh yeah, he's there every week. dog wants to play big time. Poor thing. Still need to bring Thor. Big old baby.
Alright guys, let's march to this town. There's a little change, there's a little record. We the people! We the people! We want change! We the people! We want change! We the people! We won't stop! Every day! Every day! We want change! Every day! All lives matter so much. Screaming, all lives matter so much. All lives matter so much. All lives matter so much. No justice. No justice. No justice. No justice. No
Woman, please be careful. People around here can't drive.
Oh, they do not.